We left off creating this manual low-level server, which is, yeah, pretty good, pretty impressive. I like it, but you're not gonna ship this to production. So what you want to do instead is use this amazing tool, probably one of my most favorite packages in the whole npm ecosystem, the whole Node ecosystem. It's called Express, and it's such a fitting name because you literally can create a server super fast, like you're on an expressway. So the way we're going to use this is we're going to npm install Express, followed by these two other packages. So let's talk about these for a little bit. Express is a framework for building servers, short and sweet. Body Parser is a middleware that parses incoming requests, and Morgan is a middleware for logging incoming requests. So what is this word middleware? Well, middleware is basically, if you think of a request coming in on a server, let's look at this. So request coming in on the server, here it is. That means this callback is going to be called every single time a request comes in. You can think of middleware as like a little piece of functionality that sits in between what you eventually want to do with the request and when it came in. It's like a pipe of plugins that can manipulate the request, it can inspect the request, it could do whatever it wants to the request before it eventually sends it to another middleware, or in this case, the controller. It's like, if you had a sandwich, the one side of the bread would be the client, the other side of the bread one side of the bread would be like the incoming request, and the other side of the bread would be the response. And then like somewhere in the middle is like the middleware, like all the stuff that's in the middle, and then the piece of meat is the controller, right? So the middleware is like all the toppings that just adds all the extra stuff to whatever meat or veggie patty you got going on there. That's the middleware. So Body Parser and Morgan are those two. We're gonna use Body Parser to basically give us access to the incoming request, so we don't have to do the chunks anymore. We can just look at it like a JavaScript object. It'll be great. And then we use Morgan to just give us some logs so we can see the request being logged on our server. That way we know an actual request came in. It's great for debugging. It's great for recognizing if and when someone requested you. You should never go to production without having some type of request logging mechanism, because one of the most common debugging things you'll have to do as a backend engineer or a full stack engineer is looking at the logs to see when or what or how something happened. And if you're not logging, you're not winning. I don't know. Like you need to be logging. So we're gonna log here. So let's get started. We're gonna make like a simple little to-dos API that like creates to-dos and sends the to-dos back. Very simple. So like always, I have the code here. You can copy and paste, but you can also just follow along with me if you would like to. So we're gonna do just that. So I'm just gonna keep this one here because why not? Let's make another file. And I'm gonna call this one server.mjs. And I'm gonna add it to our server file. And we need to do some installations. So we're going to stop the server. We're gonna npm install Express, Morgan, and Body Parser, like that. Oops, I wanna save that. So I stopped the install by hitting Control-C, and then I came back and ran it again and saved it. So we got that. Looking good, looking good. And so I just noticed I clicked on this node modules folder, and you'll see that there's a .bin folder here. That means that there's something that I installed from Node or from NPM that has like a CLI shipped with it. If I go look at it, looks like there's a MIME CLI. So, but I didn't install MIME. I'm guessing Express did, or one of the tools that Express uses has a CLI associated with it, because that means this package somewhere, whatever is creating this MIME thing, has a bin property on its package.json whose key is called MIME. That's why that's there. So this is what it looks like when your CLI gets installed on someone's machine. It looks like this. It gets added to a .bin folder with the name of that field that you put on bin. So that's why that's important. And it happens during installation of NPM, when NPM installs your package. Anyway, let's go back to our server and let's import Express from Express, and we'll import, what was it? Oh yeah, Body Parser. I'm just call it BP from Body Parser, and then imports Morgan from Morgan. So we got all of those. Now with Express, we need to create an app. So we'll say app equals Express, like that. So now we have our app. And then we want to go ahead and set up our middleware first, and then followed by our routes. And then lastly, we will open the server, we'll listen, and we'll be good to go. So let's set up our middleware. So we want to, the way we can do that is we can say app.use. That's a method. And we can pass in an array of middleware. We can pass in one middleware. We can make one inline right here with an anonymous function. We're going to use body parser. I'm going to say BP. And I'll actually want to use something called URL encoded. And I'm going to pass in the option that says extended true. Basically, what this is going to give us is if someone passes some data on the query string, it's going to parse that for us. And it basically just makes sure that we can parse the query string and whatever's in the URL pretty easily. We probably won't be using this in this example, but it's useful. And then the other one we want to do is app.use bp.json. This one we will be using. This one allows us to parse the JSON body of a post request so we can actually see it as JSON and not like bits of chunks that we have to add together like we did in the HTTP server. And the last one we want to do is Morgan. So we say Morgan, and we're passing dev. It's just a type of logging that you want. I think there's different options here. Let's see. So you can pass in, I don't know. There's like different formats you can do. We're just gonna pass in dev here. Maybe if I take this away, it'll show me. Let's see. Yeah, there's like combined, some other options. I always just use dev because it's the shortest one. It's give me the simplest amount of information. So now that we got our middleware, we need to set up some routes. Before we do that, let's like create a little database where we can store our to-dos. So I'm gonna say db equals an array. And now we're gonna set up some routes. So I want a route to where if I post to /to-dos, it'll create a new to-do and add it to the database and then send that back. And if I do a GET request to /to-dos, it will just send me back all the to-dos. So I'm gonna say app dot followed by the verb that I want. So in this case, I want to do the post. So app.post, that's a method. First argument is going to be the path that I want to receive. I said I want to-dos, so I'm gonna say to-dos. And then I'm just gonna say to-do actually, keep it singular. And then whatever controller, you can think of this as like what callback do you want to run when someone does this post request, okay? And just like the HTTP server, because guess what? Express uses the HTTP server underneath it, we get this request and response object. And you'll see this pretty much in every single Node.js server implementation, whether it's Express or Happy or whatever server framework you use, they pretty much all use request response. That's because they're all using the HTTP module, which uses request and response. So it's very common to see this pattern. So we're going to say, okay, cool. We want to first grab this to-do and add it to the database. So let's do that. So we'll say new to-do, and that's going to equal an object. We'll just say the ID is, I don't know, date.now. So I don't like incremented IDs. And then the text is going to be whatever is on the request.body.text. So that means someone's going to post an object to this server, and that object is going to have a text property on it. And the value of that text property is going to be whatever is going to be saved here in the to-do. And that's it. So now we got our new to-do. I'm going to say db.push our new to-do here, like that. And I'm going to say res.json new to-do. And that's simple. I was able to create a to-do, push it in our database, and then respond back really simply. So we're going to do the same thing before a GET request. So I'm going to say app.get /to-do. Remember, a route is a combination of a verb and a path. The verb here is a post, the path is to-do. The verb here is get, but the path is also to-do. So although they're both the same routes, they're different paths because this has a GET verb associated with it. So it's going to only be activated when someone does a GET request to this route or to this path. So request, response, and then for a GET request, all we want to do is just say res.json db. Let's just show all the to-dos. That's pretty much it. And the next thing is we want to start our server so we can listen on it. So we'll say app.listen. Looks familiar, right? If we go back to here, isn't that what we did here? Server.listen. It's really, like I said, an abstraction around the HTTP module, which already does this. So we'll say app.listen. We don't have to pass in a host here. It'll default to localhost for us, or whatever host you're on. And we just need to give it a port. So I'm gonna just give it the same port of 8000. And it does take a callback optionally if you want to use that. And we'll just pretty much do the same thing. Console.log, server on HTTP, localhost 8000. So we'll do that. And that's going to be our server. So let's give it a try and see what happens. So we will come here, we will run server MJS, and you can see we still get the same output, server on HTTP localhost 8000. So I'm going to, first I'm gonna do a GET request to 8000. No other route, no /to-do, just a GET request. And I should get a cannot get. I get a 404 not found. Why is that? I'm pretty sure we just created a server. It seems like it's working, so why is it saying it isn't found? Well, that's because I didn't register for a route of the verb get and the path /, so it just 404'd. So if I wanted to get rid of that, I would make a route for app.get / and I would handle that. Or I could do like a catch-all somewhere down here that says, if someone tries to make a request to anything that's not the stuff that I just put above here, then show that. And that's how you can handle errors without your app crashing and stuff like that with Express. So there's many ways to do that. It depends on whatever logic you want, but that's why that's there. So it's actually a good sign that we see that, because that's what we intend to happen, because we don't have a route registered for that path and verb combination. So what we'll do is we will actually hit one that works. Let's do a post request. So I'm gonna start the server again. I'm gonna use my HTTP Pi, and I'm gonna do a post request to /to-do, and I'm going to post the text property. So this text says I need to eat more food today. I don't eat enough. I should eat more than I actually am. I have to be too busy. I don't know. So I'm gonna do that. And you can see I get a 200, and it sends back this JSON object. It says, here's the ID, which I put date.now, and then our text. So I'm gonna add some more. Clean up my closet. I just throw my clothes at the bottom of the closet sometimes, so I need to clean it up. There we go. So we got 2 to-dos now. The server is still running. If we look at these nice little pretty logs we have, this is Morgan. This is that middleware that's logging this for us. So you can see we had one request come in. It was a post to /to-do, status code 200, and it took 3.60 milliseconds to function. I have no idea what this number is with Morgan, but I'm guessing it's some time or something. And then the other one took even less. So super fast, as you can see, and this is just a local machine. It's, doing really good here. Now let's actually see if we can pull those to-dos down with the GET request. Before we do it, the server hasn't stopped. It's been running this whole time. So, and I was pushing those to-dos to an array. So that means I'm anticipating that because this server is still running, and because I pushed them to an array, that those objects should still be floating in memory right now. They should still be sitting around waiting for me to pull them down. And that would only happen if the server was still running and it didn't stop, like our other node programs did. So let's prove that theory. And let's do a GET request to /to-do. And you can see here we get an array of both of the to-dos that we have, because we're still running the server, they're still in memory, and everything still works. So, and you can see we do get a GET to /to-do, 200. Good to go. I think this number is like how much data was sent back. That makes more sense. So maybe that's what that is. I am going to stop the server and start it again. And then I'm going to do that. You'll see that nothing comes back because I stopped the server and there was no data in memory. Yeah, so as you can see, let's just kind of compare apples to apples here. So I'm gonna try to, I forgot the shortcut to open this up in a new thing. It's like Command K. I don't know the shortcut anymore. I haven't, how do we do this? Oh, there we go, split right. Here we go. So let's close this. I think this is like Command B. Yay, okay. So we got the server here, which is an Express, and then we got the HTTP server, which is in just regular old HTTP. So, I mean, if we look at the amount of code, it's about the same, to be honest. But in my opinion, this is just a lot easier to understand and a lot more expressive. And it's actually doing more. So although there's about the same amount of code, this is way more efficient. It's doing a lot more. We didn't even register any routes up here. We just had like a handler for a post and that was it. This thing has a database, a couple routes, you know, it's doing a lot more with the same amount of code. So as you can see, it can get pretty crazy if you take advantage of something like Express versus trying to build this out yourself. It would be a lot more code to get the same functionality. Any questions on Express and the plugin, the middleware that I added here to get this working? The question was, can we customize the response codes in the Express controllers? And the answer is, of course you can. So for the post, we can say rest.set header, which is pretty much the same thing, but I think the one we want is status. So if you say rest.status, I can say 201, save that, stop this, start that, and let's do another post here. And you can see I got a 201. Right, so yeah, you can do rest.status to chain it. I think you can also do like, you can chain this. So you can see like rest.status.json and then just do that. I think that works too. We're about to find out. Yeah, that works too.